being 100% serious when I say this. Evolution 2 might have actually been WWE's best PLE of the year. Because think about it, we didn't have the same old stupid 5-match format. We actually got 7 matches now. That's the sweet spot, by the way. 7 is the perfect number of matches to have in a PLE. And of course, I think every single match delivered, and the crowd was hot for every single match. The crowd loved every single match. Now, here's the thing. This doesn't mean Triple H is all of a sudden the great booker, right? This guy still sucks. And Triple H is probably getting like 10% of the credit here. Because Triple H's job as the chief content officer was to write good stories to build up to Evolution. And I'm sorry, but Triple H failed at that. Every single match on the show had a terrible build-up. Even Trish Stratus admitted, dude. She said that, oh my god, Triple H sucks. He sucks as a booker. The build-up he gave us was so trash. Okay, obviously she didn't say that word for word. But you get the point. She said that the build-up sucks and we had to make the best out of what we were given. So that's right. Triple H did a horrible job. He still sucks at his job. So Triple H gets like 10% of the credit for how good this show was. The credit should actually go to the wrestlers, to the women. Just like Trish Stratus said, you know, the build-up was so trash, but we still made the best out of what we were given. So yeah, that's exactly what I think everybody on the show did. They did their jobs, and they did that great. Triple H, on the other hand, he is terrible at his job, and he failed. So yeah, without further ado, let's get right in the show. Let's review Evolution. Let's get into it match by match. The show kicks off with a triple threat IC title match. Becky Lynch versus Lyra Valkyria versus Bayley. Now, obviously, this match, as expected, was great. I thought this was a great triple threat, a great opener. It was exactly what it needed to be, so there's really nothing more to talk about here. I did see a lot of people say this should be the main event, but like, come on, guys. This story's not as good as a lot of y'all are, glazing it to be. Yeah, sure, it's good. I guess we are getting, some progression every single week here and there. But I see a lot of people just straight up glazing the story online, saying it's the best thing ever. Like, it's not that good, alright? Especially since Money in the Bank, it's not been that good. So yeah, I do think a lot of people are glazing the story. But yeah, the match itself, this match, the triple threat match, was amazing. I thought it was great. Everything about it was great. Of course, Becky Lynch and Bayley have always been great. And Lyra Valkyria is kind of breaking out in 2025. One of the, breakout stars of 2025, I'd say. I'm still not the biggest fan of her. There's, some critics I have as a fan. But she is still really good. She is a great wrestler. So I'll give her that. And yeah, obviously, as expected, Becky Lynch wins. She retains the title. I've seen a lot of people, call her Becky Hogan, including somebody in the arena. That was a cool shot, I'm not going to lie. We did the Becky Lynch holding the IC title up right next to the Becky Hogan sign. That was really cool. I don't think this is very Hogan-esque. I think, Becky Lynch is actually doing a great job with the IC title. I think she's the right holder for the IC title right now. She's actually, doing a pretty good job at elevating it and, bringing eyes to it and stuff like that. Because think about it, there's one reason why the IC title feels so much better than the US title. It's because Becky Lynch has been involved in the story surrounding it. So yeah, there we go. Becky Lynch is the right holder for the IC title right now. Maybe she drops it back to Lyra at SummerSlam. I don't know. But I don't have any complaints about this. Great stuff. Great everything. Let's just move on. Anyways, then we get Jade versus Jordynne Grace for the NXT Women's Championship. And I don't really watch NXT, so I don't really know the storyline going on here. But Mariah May or Balake Monroe was at ringside for, Jordynne Grace. They had a tag match at Great American Bash, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, we got a pretty decent match. I wasn't really expecting anything great out of this. I think it did the job, especially, as the second match on the card. We did get some shenanigans from Fatal Influence, I think their name is. So yeah, we did get some shenanigans here and there. And, Mariah May or, Blake Monroe helping out Jordynne Grace and stuff like that. But in the end, the referee gets distracted and Blake Monroe smacks Jordynne Grace in the head with the title. So yeah, Blake Monroe has officially turned heel and she helps JC Jane win the title, retain the title, sorry. I'm not gonna lie, this heel turn kind of felt off. It felt a little weird. I feel like someone of the caliber of Blake Monroe should have had a bigger heel turn, something with more spotlight on her. It kind of felt like, just another part of the match. Like the cameras were barely on her, Like she just smacked, Jordynne Grace with the title and, the corner of the camera caught it. And then they never showed her again until after JC Jane celebrated with the title for 4 seconds. So yeah, that was kind of weird. And, Michael Cole did a horrible job at selling it as well. At least if the commentators were going crazy, this heel turn might have actually been effective. But, Michael Cole, he didn't even realize that Blake Monroe turned heel. He's just like, well, what just happened there? Oh my god, that wasn't intentional. Oh my god. Blake Monroe, what did you do? Come on, man. It was so stupid. It was really bad. And I think Michael Cole, and I think it's mostly his fault here, I think it was kind of the booker's fault as well. I think they should have come up with something a little better. But Michael Cole deserves some of the blame as well. I saw someone say on Twitter that if Vic Joseph was on commentary, he would have sold that like the best heel turn ever. And yeah, I agree. That guy would have sold that like crazy. Michael Cole, unfortunately, I don't think he really knows what's going down there in NXT. Me neither, but like, come on, man. You were sitting right there at ringside. So yeah, I think Michael Cole was kind of off a perk here. He was really weird for the rest of the show. He called Candice LeRae Candice Michelle like 8 times. And this is not something new either. He's been like this for the entirety of 2025 so far. He's been botching names. He's been botching moves. He's been botching everything. You know, that's what happens when you commentate alongside Pat McAfee. This dude has been infected with the Pat McAfee virus. So yeah, I hope being around with Wade Barrett and Corey Graves is going to help him get better. So yeah, I think the heel turn of Blake Monroe was kind of undersold. But overall, the match itself, I'd say was pretty decent and it did the job. So wow, let's just move on. Anyways, then we get the Fatal 4-Way Tag match for the Women's Tag Team Championships. Dude, I am sick and tired of saying this. When you do a Fatal 4-Way Tag match, it should be a regular 4-way match, but in tag team form. That means you have 4 people in the ring at once. That's how it works. Not whatever this BS thing WWE does where you have 2 people in the ring and, at once and they can tag in their opponents as well. It's weird as hell. It makes no sense and it's just stupid, man. It's really confusing. It's stupid as hell. Just don't do it. Just don't do it. Or even if you're really that confused, just do a tornado tag match with a bunch of chaos in there. Alright? Whatever this is, just stop doing this. But yeah, we do get a pretty good match out of this regardless. I think the highlight of this match was, Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair. I do think Charlotte Flair is actually doing a good job. Finally. She's finally doing something that the fans can actually buy into, and we could see that. We could see the reaction she was getting from the crowd. We can see that the fans are finally liking what she's doing. Instead of having the same old, title matches over and over and over again, she's finally doing something new for her character. So yeah, now we can see that the fans are actually liking her. I do think the tag team from NXT, Zarya and Sol Ruka, I think they had a pretty good showing. Really good showing, as a matter of fact. And obviously, in the end, Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez retain, obviously as expected. But obviously, the story they're telling here is that, they're finally getting along. And Liv Morgan is not going to like that. So yeah, with that being said, let's just move on. Great stuff. Anyways, then we get Trish Stratus versus Tiffany Strand for the WWE Women's Championship. Now, I'm not gonna lie, this was actually better than I thought it would be, and it was exactly what it needed to be. It didn't overstay its welcome. I did see somebody say that on Twitter, and I do agree 100%, because that's what I thought this match would be, especially since Tiffany Strand has not been that great in the ring for the past few months, and Trish Stratus is pretty old, so yeah, that's what I thought this match would be. I thought it would overstay its welcome, but no, it was just exactly what it needed to be, and Trish Stratus showed zero ring rust, dude. Obviously, I'm not going to say she's, crazy in the ring, doing a lot of crazy stuff, no, but, she's still really good. She's exactly where she needs to be. So yeah, we got a really good match out of this. I'd say we got a solid match out of this. Yeah, that's a perfect way to describe this. We got a solid match out of this, and it might actually be Tiffany Strand's best defense yet. So yeah, obviously, Tiffany Strand retains. Wow. Let's just move on. Anyways, then we get a no DQ match with Naomi and Jade Cargill. A botch is coming. Yeah, that's right, guys. I don't like Jade Cargill anymore. Come on, man. I gave her chance after chance after chance, alright? And like I've said about 1 billion times already, yeah, I get it, wrestling's hard as hell, and I do respect everybody that steps in the ring. It's really difficult, and I couldn't do half the things that these people do. But it really gets to a point, man. It gets to a point. Because Jade Cargill has been on the main roster for a year now, and she's been alongside people like Bianca Belair for, the entirety of her run. But every single match she's in still has a bunch of botches in there. And what do you mean she still has to learn? That's all I see people saying, man. Oh my god, give her time. She still has to learn. Then why has she been part of the main roster for a year now? Being in the main stories, being in the top stories. Why? She's not good in the ring. She's not good on the mic. All she does is aura farm. That's the only reason why she's at the top. Because she aura farms. But every other factor that actually warrants being at the top spot, like being good on the mic, being good in the ring, she has none of those. And this match with Naomi, it was literally Naomi carrying. Come on, man. You can't deny it. She was doing literally everything. Jade Cargill was just taking the bumps, and then randomly out of nowhere in the end, she just hit the Jaded from the top rope or the middle rope, whatever, out of nowhere in the end. Bro, Jade Cargill is actually the most protected star in WWE right now. Triple H would rather turn off his pacemaker than have Jade Cargill get pinned. So yeah, obviously, Naomi just loses once again, so her whole rivalry with Jade Cargill is just meaningless. All she does is get beaten up by her. And notice how I didn't even talk about Bianca Belair. It's because she pretty much served no purpose in this match. They got her in for a big pop, obviously, but like, come on, she added nothing to the story. All she did was just stand there. So yeah, I wasn't the biggest fan of this, but we did get some bright spots here and there, like the announce table, you know, the screen on the announce table, for example. That was a pretty good spot. And yeah, that's about it. So yeah, let's just move on. Then we get the Evolution Battle Royal. Now this was exactly what I wanted it to be. I saw a lot of people online saying we needed more surprises. Like, come on, this is not a Royal Rumble. It's a Battle Royal. And I feel like a lot of people are kind of missing the point on what Evolution is. They think just because it's an all-women's pay-per-view, they got to bring back all the old women, you know, like Tori Wilson. Who else? Michelle McCool. Like, all those guys. Like, no, that's not what this is about, you know? It's about making a show mostly with the current roster. Keyword mostly. Because I think Trish Stratus and Nikki Bella, I think that was enough. And this Battle Royal, I thought it was everything it needed to be. There were so many that actually had a great showing in this match. Like, you know, Lash Legend, for example. We did have a few awkward moments here and there with, you know, Natalia and Maxine Dupree or whatever they were doing. And yeah, that was kind of stupid, I'm not gonna lie. But in the end, we do get the right winner. Stephanie Valkyrie wins, and she's going to be challenging for the Women's Championship at Clash in Paris. So yeah, I think that's a great decision. And Stephanie Valkyrie says a few words after her win. That was great. That was awesome. I'm glad that she's actually getting a push. So yeah, no complaints on my part here. Great stuff. Great everything. Let's just move on. And now it's time for the main event. Rhea Ripley versus Io Sky for the Women's World Championship. Now, I'm not going to lie. This match, the whole build up to this match, it's stupid as hell. It's terrible. And I think this match shouldn't have even happened. I wish we got something for Io Sky. And speaking of Io Sky, this whole world title reign was straight up terrible. And Triple H must pay for his crimes. But yeah, obviously, they made the best out of what they were given. And I do think this was a great match. Great main event, in my opinion. We got a ref bump in there as well. And that's like, come on, man. Can't we just get a main event match without a ref bump? Like, this is just getting too much at this point. So yeah, like I said, great match. Lots of false finishes. Rhea Ripley kicks out of Io Sky's finisher in the end. And then we get a Spanish fly in the end as well that puts both of them out. And then we see Naomi. Naomi's music hits, and I was shocked as hell. I did not see that coming. So yeah, that's good. I think that was a great call to, you know, throw everybody off. And obviously, Naomi cashes in, and she wins the Women's World title by pinning Io Sky. So yeah, awesome stuff. I've said this before, I'm not really the biggest fan of Naomi, but she has improved a lot with this heel turn, and I am happy for her with this world title win. So congratulations, Naomi. I just hope Triple H gives her a good run with the title. So yeah, crazy ending to Evolution, crazy ending to a great PLE. I thought we had a great opener, a great main event, and everything we got in between was good as well. I'm going to give this show like an 8.25 out of 10. Best WWE show, best WWE PLE so far. Of the year, I mean, you know, you get the point. Best WWE PLE of the year. So with that being said, that is it for today's video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace out.